in the stories we tell. If you liked the story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to support the channel. I regained my senses amidst Fiona Goo's startled cries, suddenly realizing that I had been reborn. In my previous life, on this very day of my grand wedding, I was splashed with ink in broad daylight. Fiona laughed mockingly and fled, leaving all eyes fixed upon me. I was flustered and overwhelmed, tears welling up in my eyes, but I tried my best to hold them back. My maid hurriedly supported me and tried to wipe the ink from my face, but it could not be cleaned off. We had no choice but to obey the urgent orders of my mother-in-law, Madame Qian, hurriedly covering my face with the bridal veil to proceed with the bowing ceremony first and deal with the rest later. At that time, none of us realized that this ink stain would follow me for my entire life. Today, seeing the black ink stain clearly on Lucas Liu's face, two thoughts immediately surfaced in my mind. First, I wanted this ink stain to follow him for the rest of his life, so that he would regret what happened today until his dying breath. Second, I wanted Fiona to taste that same suffering, causing them to love yet suspect each other, torment each other, and hate each other until death. Lucas, seeing Fiona run away, breathed a sigh of relief, then turned his head to look at me, his expression full of reproach. "Lully, you have truly disappointed me. Let us cancel the engagement." I coldly lifted the messy bridal veil and casually threw it onto the ground. In my previous life, Lucas and I were married for more than 20 years, yet we never shared the affection of husband and wife. He kept his body pure for Fiona, while he and I were nothing more than two strangers living under the same roof. In this life, I did not bow to him, so we cannot be called husband and wife. I want to remain a daughter of the Li family. I do not want to be a wife of the Liu family. I do not want to be bound to him anymore. Lucas was stunned, reaching out to grasp my sleeve. "Lily, just because someone caused a disturbance, you want to cancel the marriage?" The people around us were astonished. Lucas's mother, Madame Qian, had a dark expression and his younger sister, Lucy, was also furious. I gave a cold laugh. In my previous life, I once felt that I was unlucky to have met a madwoman who ruined the most important event of my life, but later, I learned the truth. Lucas, his mother, and his sister all knew of Fiona's existence, and knew that she possessed a secret medicine that could remove the ink stain from my face. However, they all remained silent. My mother-in-law counted on me to manage the household. My sister-in-law relied on me to earn silver for her dowry, and to back her up after she married. They wanted me to torture myself out of inferiority, to work like a beast of burden for the Liu family, diligently serving them so they could reluctantly use me, all while looking down on me from above with disgust. "In this life, do not expect to pour a single dropeth on me again," I said coldly. "Master Liu, that ink is called bondless ink. Once it touches the skin, unless there is a specially made secret antidote, it is absolutely impossible to wash off." That person was clearly aiming to destroy my appearance. "She called you darling Luke with her own mouth. Master Liu, this disaster was caused by your own philandering. I, Lily, am determined not to tie the knot with a duplicitous man." Lucas was slightly stunned, but his face immediately darkened. "Do not casually make threats to scare people. I admit I know her, but there is absolutely no private affair between us. Today was just her being childish and playing a foolish prank. In truth, whether one loves or not is inherently very clear. She was insidious and vicious, yet in his eyes, she transformed into a mischievous child. In my previous life, I once went to the Pure Mind Nunnery to pray to Buddha. I wanted to ask the highly respected old abbess of the nunnery why my life was so bitter. When I arrived, the old abbess was wiping the hands of some little orphans she had picked up. The little orphans lined up one by one, waiting for her to rinse the towel to wipe their faces and hands clean. Clearly, they could wash themselves, but just because she had wiped one child, the rest insisted on having her wipe them too. The old abbess did not find it annoying. Her eyes were filled with kindness. She said she did not expect the children to grow up and become nuns. She only hoped they would grow up safe and healthy. She said, "This poor nun knows why the benefactor has come here. If the benefactor cannot be a child in front of that person, then he does not love the benefactor. If that person cannot be a child in front of the benefactor, then the benefactor does not truly love him either." I was in a daze and silently descended the mountain, suddenly feeling that the marriage between Lucas and me was quite fair. He did not love me, and I did not love him. That was the only consolation I told myself during 20 years of being a wife of the Liu family. It was not until I saw him and Fiona being affectionate and intimate that the scale named fairness in my heart tilted and fell. Because I discovered that while Lucas might not love me, as a man, he could openly and righteously love another person. As for me, a woman, throughout my entire life, apart from my husband, I could not openly and righteously love anyone. This marriage was unfair. I gave a faint laugh. If Master Lu does not believe it, go ahead and use a towel to wipe it, and see if the ink on your face can be removed. Lucas stared at me, but still did not dare to lift his sleeve, which made me feel even more sarcastic. He did not dare to try. He guessed that Fiona was very likely that kind of person. That made me hate him even more. The anger in my heart boiled over violently. He knew everything, yet he still tortured me for a lifetime, coldly watching me live humbly in the Lu family, never speaking a word of justice for me, because my sacrifice was the price to be paid for his and Fiona's happiness. Even that child, I fear, was only granted to me because he found me pitiful. How ridiculous it was. His mother, Madame Qian, panicked and hurriedly took a towel to wipe his face. Lucas could not stop his mother in front of everyone, and was forced by her to wipe his face until it was red, but the ink stain did not fade in the slightest. On the contrary, it looked even more terrifying. Madame Qian was panicked. She immediately ordered servants to go find Fiona, and then intended to come and persuade me, but was blocked by my family. Lucas's sister, Lucy, hurriedly said, "Sister Lily, do you not have any feelings for my brother? He does not have a private affair with that woman. It is just her one-sided love." I replied in a cold voice, "Miss Lu, the person whom I, Lily, wish to marry is a young and talented gentleman. Absolutely not that kind of ugly man over there. Wait until your brother washes his face clean before coming to find me, otherwise, just glancing at that face makes me lose my appetite. In my previous life, they lived off the abundant life that I provided, yet they still criticized me for being an ugly woman, saying that just looking at me once was enough to give them nightmares. Those words were naturally an exaggeration. I always wore a veil to cover my face, so they never clearly saw the ink stain, but they wanted to attack me, wanted to cause me pain. Because my husband was the first not to love me, to despise me, and to neglect me, so they also joined in to humiliate me and trample upon me. It was just like a window that is already broken. The person who wants to patch it up is a saint, while most people in the world only want to poke another hole in it. I used to be that broken window, but now I will calmly send each of those wicked people to their fair salvation. I returned home and immediately issued several orders. First, send people to watch Lucas day and night. Fiona cannot bear to let Lucas suffer. She will surely turn back to find him. I must make sure she goes but cannot return, and I want Lucas to wear that ugly face for his entire life. Second, send people to the Imperial Scent Pavilion in the capital. That place is the largest assassin organization in the capital. I want to put a bounty on Fiona. In my previous life, I tried every possible way to find her. I had a superior memory, so I drew her appearance myself and tried every way to contact people in the martial arts world, hoping only to find her to get the antidote. However, Lucas angrily scolded me for colluding with the martial arts world, saying that I wanted to ruin his future as an official. At that time, I asked him where he got that news. I did this very secretly, and the Imperial Scent Pavilion kept secrets even more strictly, absolutely never revealing the identity of their clients. He coldly said that his political enemies had found out and told me to stop immediately, not to cause him any more trouble. Only when I was about to die did I think it through. Clearly, Fiona was being chased, got injured, and ran to him crying and complaining. He then came to find me, using the excuse of affecting his future to force me to withdraw the pursuit order. In this life, I want Fiona to live in fear every single day, since she does not like being bound by the rules of the Marquis's household. Let her drift and wander for a lifetime. Third, I invited the family doctor and gave him a prescription, telling him to research bondless ink. In my previous life, I could never find the antidote, so I could only risk my life to earn money, buying several pharmacies and inviting a few famous doctors to work on the prescription. I thought that as long as the prescription could be deciphered, the antidote would surely be found. Those famous doctors were indeed capable. They concocted a prescription similar to bondless ink and also tried to formulate an antidote. The antidote used on my face only made the ink color fade a little, but could not wipe the ink stain off my face completely. The famous doctors said they feared one or two key medicinal ingredients were missing, and those ingredients likely did not exist in the Central Plains but came from foreign lands. Fiona had traveled north and south, rushing everywhere. I did not know where she got such a strange thing. I felt regret in my heart but was not discouraged. I told them to modify the prescription, changing it into boneless ink without any antidote. At that time, I actually harbored a thought in my heart that if one day I found Fiona, I wanted to cover her face with black ink, wanting her to regret what she had done for the rest of her life. In my previous life, I used this prescription and paralysis powder on her, smearing black ink on her face, but she died too quickly, and no one saw that pitch black face. I did not feel any gloating from revenge, only that it was as absurd as a dream. Everything was too absurd. Because of the love and hatred between him and her, I became a sacrifice to maintain their happiness. Yet no one ever asked me if I was willing. In this life, she should not expect to live in this world with a pure, flawless appearance. The last thing was something I did myself. I changed into ordinary clothes and took my maids and servants in a carriage to a fair in the city. In a corner of the market, there was a man and a woman. The man hugged his sword and stood silently, with long eyebrows and phoenix eyes. His face was handsome but full of annoyance. The woman was performing acrobatics. Her appearance was extremely ordinary, one could even say plain. After the sword dance, she became agile and sharp, making her suddenly become heroic and oppressive, her demeanor outstanding. Her eyes were determined, not feeling humiliated by selling her art. After finishing the sword dance, she picked up a basket to ask for reward money. However, the crowd retreated one after another, as if afraid of being asked for money. Some even spat and cursed at her. The woman's face remained calm. When she walked in front of me, I tilted my head to avoid her gaze, did not give silver, but turned and went to the tea shop next door, ordering a cup of tea to sip. The man coldly said, "I told you long ago, this way is useless. It is you who are stubborn." The woman did not like his cold words and immediately replied, "Brother Will, if you want to help, then help. If not, then stand aside. No one asked you." That man's name was William Joe, and the woman was Hannah Koo. The two were senior brother and junior sister, and also enemies of Fiona. In my previous life, I had investigated thoroughly through all channels, and knew clearly that the person who harmed me, named Fiona, was a heroine with some reputation in the martial arts world, with body movements as light as a swallow gliding in the spring breeze. She was born with a confused nature, clear love and hate, liked to intervene in injustices, and had done many good deeds, but anyone who accidentally provoked her had to be prepared to be avenged by her, until their family was broken and their house destroyed. The master of William and Hannah, named Master Song, was an old man who had struggled in the martial arts world for many years. Later he wanted to wash his hands of the sword, so he organized a golden basin hand-washing ceremony. If no one came to seek revenge that day, it meant that all grudges in the martial arts world had ended, and from then on he could live in peace. Unexpectedly, Fiona blatantly rushed in, giggling and calling out, "Dad, you want to wash your hands of the sword? Have you asked for my agreement yet?" Saying that, she knocked over the golden basin and leisurely left. She casually called him father, making it look like Master Song had gained an advantage, but Master Song had kept himself clean all his life. His affection for his wife was deep, and he had no children, only accepting William and Hannah as disciples to succeed him. Now suddenly a daughter popped up calling him father, and even smashed the golden basin right in front of everyone. The ceremony failed, and the husband and wife developed a rift. Master Song's wife did not believe that anyone in the world would casually call a stranger father. She insisted that his character was corrupt, that he had betrayed their marital affection, and angrily left. Master Song hurriedly chased after her, but on the way, he met his enemies. The enemies had originally let go of everything, but when they saw that he failed to complete the ceremony, and that a daughter had appeared, they assumed that this was heaven's will not allowing him to wash his hands of the sword. If this grudge was not avenged, justice would be hard to tolerate. Initially, they only intended to break one of his arms to end the grudge, but because Master Song was anxious to find his wife, words were exchanged, and finally, he was accidentally killed. His wife turned back halfway, her anger subsiding, intending to listen to his explanation, but only saw her husband's cold corpse. She embraced her husband's body and committed suicide beside him. From then on, William and Hannah dedicated themselves to revenge, selling all their family property and roaming everywhere looking for Fiona. By now they had reached a dead end. William had always been arrogant. He refused to sell his art and was not resigned to being a gatekeeper for others. He had thought about joining an escort agency, but once entering an escort agency, the signed contract would last for several years. Hannah did not agree. She believed that she could not quickly avenge her master, so she decided to sell her art to make a living, and as soon as she had money, she would go find Fiona. In my previous life, when Fiona knew they were looking for her, she sent people to block the road and beat the two of them until they were barely breathing. It was I who picked them up on the way down from the Pure Mind Nunnery. After they recovered from their injuries, they worked for me. I invited famous teachers to teach them. Once the two of them succeeded in their studies, they split up to go everywhere looking for Fiona. Later, William brought back a human head, saying that he had killed Fiona, but she was stubborn. She would rather destroy the antidote than hand it over, so he could not bring the antidote back. The most regrettable thing was that Hannah unfortunately lost her life because of it. At that time, I never suspected anything. I gave William a sum of money, thanking him for avenging me, and let him leave. I only regretted that Hannah had died. At night, I lit incense to pray to Buddha, looking at the kind face of Guan Yin, wanting to ask clearly, is the so-called revenge, using one life to exchange for another, ultimately worth it or not? Hannah once said it was worth it. She said the Song couple treated her like their own child. There was no reason for parents to be harmed and children to be indifferent and not seek revenge. However, in the end, I still could not sleep peacefully night after night. I lit the ever-burning lamp for her for many years, but the resentment in my heart, strand by strand, never dissipated. I thought that revenge should be taken, but she should also live. Even if it really had to be a life for a life, it should be using one life to exchange for many lives. But later, when I set fire to Fiona's mountain villa, I saw with my own eyes William tearing his heart and lungs out, rushing into the sea of fire, wanting to save Fiona. At that moment I realized I had been deceived by William. That human head was simply not Fiona's. It could even very likely have been Hannah in disguise. That ungrateful beast might very well have killed Hannah with his own hands. In this life, I found them earlier. I hope Hannah can see William's true face a little sooner. Besides, I also really want to know if Lucas knows there has always been someone secretly in love with Fiona by her side, how he will react. That scene will definitely be extremely interesting. William coldly glanced at Hannah once, then turned and strode away. Hannah rested for a moment, then continued to call out to sell her art. I saw her busy until the sun went down behind the mountain, yet she had only earned about a dozen copper coins. Her road to revenge was still very long. Waiting for her to finish tidying up, I ordered a maid to invite her over, asking if she was willing to be a bodyguard for me. Hannah immediately refused. I used tea water to write the name Fiona on the table. She immediately froze, her face full of vigilance, smiled and said, Miss Ku, our goals are the same. She is also my enemy. It is just that with your current skills, I fear it is still not enough. She immediately knelt on one knee, clasped her hands and bowed. Please teach me, miss. As long as I can avenge my master and his wife, I am willing to be a servant for you for my entire life. I helped her up, thinking silently in my heart, good girl, I do not want you to be my servant. I only hope you can be like me, living openly and happily in this world. On the way back, I stopped by the Pure Mind Nunnery and donated a sum of money to Abbess Jingen, who was still quite young at that time. Abbess Jingen asked me, does the benefactor want to ask for a divination? This poor nun is willing to interpret the hexagram for the benefactor. Her reputation was already very great, and she did not easily interpret hexagrams for others anymore, but I shook my head and refused. My wish is not something a hexagram can solve. The thing that makes people not fear poverty is becoming rich. The thing that makes me truly let go of the God in my heart is having the great vengeance avenged. At present, I cannot see through it, nor do I want to see through it. Abbess Jingen smiled and said, then this poor nun gifts the benefactor a word. Destiny has never been a fixed number. Every move of the benefactor contains fate. Fate changes, and the only thing that does not change is change itself. This poor nun wishes for the benefactor fulfillment of your wishes. I clasped my hands in return and leisurely descended the mountain. At the foot of the mountain, a fierce battle was still waiting for me. I took Hannah back to the manor. As soon as I stepped through the door, I immediately encountered a solemn family interrogation. My father, mother, and countless eyes of the clan were all focused on me. They needed an explanation. They considered me a daughter of the Li family. Externally, they had always protected me today, but internally, they needed me to clarify why I was determined to break off the engagement with the Lu family. I slowly knelt down, speaking softly, father, mother, uncles, and aunts, It is I who have made the Li family lose face, but I have already withdrawn from this marriage, and I do not have a single shred of regret in my heart. Lucas is not worthy of me. Lucas has a private affair with that woman. She did not want to be bound by the rules of the Marquis's household, so she left, but she was not resigned, so she deliberately ruined the wedding, wanting to destroy my face in public. Lucas understood clearly in his heart, yet under so many eyes, he did not say a single word of blame. If I really married into the Marquis's household, only 100 bitterness and 1,000 hardships would be waiting ahead. The daughters of the Li family can be industrious and manage affairs, can be patient and endure hardship, but are absolutely not beasts of burden to be plotted against, oppressed, and exploited by others. Master Li's face sank, while Madame Li looked at me, her eyes overflowing with sorrow. The relatives buzzed with whispers. A granduncle sighed at length. You are being too willful. The Li family has never had such a scandal. Ours is a noble and upright lineage that values virtue above all else. The daughters of the Li family are all renowned ladies of distinction who have never had to worry about marriage. Years ago, when the Marquis's household proposed, it was because they valued the reputation of the Li family. Father had carefully investigated Lucas. Outsiders all praised him highly, saying his appearance was dignified, his talent outstanding, his future bright, and most importantly, his character was noble and worthy of cultivation. At that time, Father asked Lucas 3 questions. Did he have someone in his heart or a mistress? Did he intend to take concubines or pledge to have only one wife for a lifetime? Did he have any romantic debts or entanglements with anyone outside? Lucas answered clearly, no. Father also investigated and found nothing. At that time, none of us knew that while he had no connection with the noble ladies of the capital, he was deeply entangled with a heroine from the remote martial arts world. I do not know why he dared to be so certain that he had no connection to Fiona back then. Perhaps they were a cold war at the time, so he dared to casually utter that lie. It was not until today, when Fiona blatantly barged into the wedding, that he realized her hesitation and his own true feelings. He truly did not love me. He was truly madly in love with her. My parents thought they had chosen a young talent for me, thought my marriage would be like theirs, a lifetime of happiness. But my first wedding night was spent sitting alone in a daze until dawn. Lucas said he would help me find that woman. He stayed with me for one night, but after that, he did not want to come, and I did not want to seek him out. We were polite and courteous. Then he began to persuade me to let go. He said I should not mind the ink stain on my face, and that I should also let it go. He claimed that men and women living together do not necessarily need love. As things were, with each person fulfilling their duty, was that not also very good? If a person were a tree, I felt myself withering bit by bit, with no water left to sustain life. The Marquis's household was full of people who needed me, yet no one ever said a word of thanks. I wanted to accept my fate, but I was unwilling. I always struggled, hoping a flower would bloom from my life. No matter how small, it would be enough to prove I lived brilliantly. But there was none, until death. I was still a dry and barren branch. I was once punished for kneeling in the ancestral hall. Hannah felt indignant for me. She accompanied me into the hall. She said that if it were her, she would have killed those 2 long ago. She was truly lovely. I did not kneel on the prayer mat. In my previous life, I had been enough of an obedient, sensible lady of a prestigious family. In this life, I no longer cared. I lit incense for my ancestors, then opened the window and called Hannah to take me away. Hannah was stunned. I smiled and said, "Let us go. Did you not say you wanted to kill those 2? Then let us go right now." "Are you not gonna kneel, miss?" I quietly looked at the ancestral tablets. No, my ancestors would not bear to see their descendants suffer. Perhaps I was able to be reborn because my ancestors kowtowed and begged in the underworld to exchange for it. How could they blame me? They only pity me. Hannah seemed dazed. She took my hand and climbed out the window over the wall with me. I calmly commented that her strength and footwork were still lacking. Like this, do not expect to catch up with Fiona. Hannah led me to hide near the Liu family manor. It was already pitch dark. Madame Qian's courtyard was noisy and chaotic. She was likely furious and cursing endlessly. The sound of cursing drifted out with the wind. Lucy smashed things, slapped a maid straight in the face, and shouted for her to get out. Not long after, the lights in the courtyards went out one by one. Only Lucas's room remained lit. He sat before the window, the candlelight casting his long shadow clearly on the paper screen. He was indeed a handsome man with an enchanting appearance. In the past, we were all more or less deceived by that face. My mother once said our appearances were truly a match. I also used to think, if my face had not been ruined, could Lucas and I have grown old together with mutual respect? I thought perhaps yes, but perhaps it would still have ended in tragedy, because no beauty is eternal, and Lucas was not the man of steadfast character people thought he was. Thinking of this, I felt it was for the best. At least I never gave my heart, so it did not count as a loss. But every time I saw my parents' deep affection, regret rose in my heart. Father loved Mother's youthful beauty as well as the wrinkles around her eyes. Mother was heartbroken that Father was no longer as tall as before, and even more pained as his hair turned grayer day by day. The two of them once quietly discussed what would happen if one died first, but then neither could bear to say anything, only shedding tears together because neither could bear to leave the other alone. Having witnessed the most beautiful love in the world, I understood just how bleak my own life was. Because of that, I found everything ridiculous, and my mind gradually drifted. Suddenly, Hannah tugged gently at my sleeve, silently pointing in a direction. Under the quiet night, a woman sneaked into view. After scouting all four sides, she intended to sneak into the backyard of the Liu family. It was Fiona. I took out a small whistle and blew softly. Immediately, several people rushed out from the darkness to block her path. Fiona indeed possessed high martial arts skills, her body light as a swallow, dodging nimbly within the encirclement. But ultimately she could not match the large number of opponents, falling into a disadvantage bit by bit. Hannah intended to rush in to help, but I raised my hand to stop her. She silently observed, only to see a person suddenly fly out, blocking the crowd and saving Fiona as fast as lightning. Hannah stood up in shock. She recognized that person as her senior brother, William. She said, "It is Brother Will, he caught Fiona, let us chase after them to take revenge." She was truly excited, but I felt a bit of pity for her. In my previous life, she practiced martial arts with extreme hardship, risking her life to train to avenge her master and mistress, her martial arts even higher than William's. Yet in the end, it was William who took her life, because she had never once suspected him. In this life, she must see clearly. I told Hannah, "From now on you must stay hidden and not utter half a word. If you say one sentence, I will deduct 1 copper coin from you. Conversely, if you can remain completely silent, I will reward you with a gold ingot." 1 ingot was 10 taels. Hannah's eyes went wide. She was just about to open her mouth but seemed to suddenly remember, hurriedly pursing her lips and nodding furiously. We followed William. Witnessing him take Fiona to a safe forest, he reluctantly let her go, took a step back, turned his face away, and spoke coldly, "Miss Gu, it is safe now. Are you all right?" Hannah pulled me behind a tree. Hearing this, her eyes went wide, intending to rush out, but I held her wrist tight, signaling her to keep listening. Fiona was still recovering from shock, looking around once before turning to look at William, smiling lightly. "It is you. Why did you appear there?" William gave a cold harumph and turned to leave. Fiona rolled her eyes and suddenly cried out. William immediately stopped and turned his head to ask what was wrong. "My foot is twisted, it hurts so much," Fiona grimaced, looking extremely miserable. William immediately jumped to her side, kneeling down to check her foot, his mouth asking incessantly, "Does it hurt here? Or is it this place?" Fiona giggled. "Brother Will, do you care about me? Why do you care about me so much?" William suddenly realized he was being teased, immediately let go of her foot, and shouted in anger, "Witch, you are very good at mocking others. I will never believe you again." He turned to leave. Fiona hurriedly called out, "Hey, I did trick you. My foot does not hurt but my heart hurts." Just one sentence stopped William in his tracks. "What are you heartbroken about?" "Of course, I am heartbroken for you. I know you must be very torn and suffering. I deliberately avoided you precisely because I did not want us to reach this step. Unexpectedly we still fell into this situation. Say what you will, you harmed my master. Between you and me there is only a blood feud. I spared you this time, but next time we meet, I definitely will not show mercy." Fiona called out loudly, "William, turn around." William turned his head reflexively. Fiona smiled radiantly. "So you have met me again. Then you can come and kill me now." William was so angry his face twisted, his hand reached for the hilt of his sword, grasping then releasing then grasping, doing so several times, making it extremely frustrating to watch. Hannah was so angry her face turned red, her eyes looking as if they wanted to spew fire. I tightened my grip on Hannah's wrist, continuing to observe Fiona. Having lived through 2 lives, I still could not understand this woman. I did not understand what ability she had to make Lucas disregard etiquette and make William overlook the vengeance of his master's murder. I just wanted to watch a little longer. William's face changed color with anger, but in the end, he still did not draw his sword. Fiona smiled as beautifully as a flower, rushing into his arms, wrapping her arms around his waist, her voice soft as water. Brother Will, I knew it, you could not bear to kill me. You do not strike this time. So later you will also not bear to strike, right? I understand the suffering in your heart, you hate me for ruining your master's hand-washing ceremony, but have you ever thought about why I had to do that? Why? With a gentle, fragrant beauty in his arms, William had clearly softened. He seemed to be expecting Fiona to provide a convincing enough reason so he could escape the burden of morality and no longer need to avenge Master Song. Fiona let go of William, her voice cold and arrogant. Was it not all your master's fault? If he wanted to wash his hands of the sword, then let him. Why force you to retire from the martial arts world with him, and even forbid you from interacting with me? He said I was a troublemaker, said I only had martial arts but no reason. I heard all those words. I clearly distinguished gratitude and grudges. He was unfair to me, so naturally I had to return the blow. Could it be that only he is allowed to defame me, and I am not allowed to fight back? She looked up at William, seeing his face darken, she immediately became anxious. Do you want to blame me again? It was his bad luck that he was killed by others. I just wanted him to taste what it feels like to be misunderstood. If you blame me, then just kill me right now. I absolutely will not complain. She held her neck high, her stubborn expression looking as if she wanted to die, making one feel both angry and pitiful. William sighed at length, as if extremely helpless. You clearly know I cannot bear to kill you. Fiona immediately turned anger into joy, acting coquettish and graceful. Brother Will, I knew it, you are the best person. A smile flashed across William's icy face, but he quickly withdrew it and asked, what is your business with the Liu family? I heard you caused a disturbance at the wedding in the Marquis's household today. Do you like that hair? What exactly is going on between you and him? Fiona felt no shame at all. Speaking calmly, I do like him. So what? I have always regarded you as a brother. Could it be that you like me? She stared at him, her eyes unblinking. William was choked by her words, not wanting to admit it but not resigned either. You? Who would bother liking you? Fiona seemed not to care. If you do not like me, then why can I not like someone else? William was purple with rage, but he refused to say the word, like, to the death, as if uttering it would lower him beneath her. Fiona gave a soft harumph, lifting her chin high, twirling a strand of hair, appearing both arrogant and lovely. She glanced at William, seeing him twisted with anger. She could not help but sigh at length. Brother Will, do not be angry anymore. You also know that it is impossible between you and me. Why is it impossible? Separating us is the death of your master. Although I did not directly kill him, the world does not care about the truth. They only need to hear about it to decide black and white. Can you really not care about the gossip of the world? And your junior sister? I have heard she is extremely stubborn. If you were truly with me, she would not only kill me but also kill you. What would you calculate then? I do not want you to be cast aside by everyone, nor do I want to see you in a dilemma. Brother Will, it is best for us to just be brother and sister. In this life, you and I truly have no destiny, but in my heart, you will forever be the best brother. She spoke until she was on the verge of tears. William softened again, his face full of sorrow, his heart in turmoil. He frowned uneasily and spoke. I will not let my junior sister kill you. I will think of a way. But what is the use of you liking him? He is a child of nobility. You are a woman of the martial arts world, and moreover, he is about to get married. A man like that is not worthy of you. Humph, so what if he is noble? I, Fiona, am worthy of anyone. It was because I did not want him that he went to marry someone else. Then why did you cause chaos at people's wedding? Clearly, you have not let go yet. Yes, I have not let go. I wanted to see what kind of woman he was marrying. I am still heartbroken, so why should he get to hold a beauty in his arms? It was because of jealousy that I ruined his wedding. I want him to engrave my image in his heart for a lifetime, not allowing him to look at anyone else. I want to destroy that woman, making her disgusting to the world. I am just a despicable person who lost her mind for love. Are you satisfied now? Fiona was unreasonable, arrogant, and rude. Yet William panicked, his whole body flustered, not knowing where to put his hands and feet. I did not mean that, but clearly in your heart you think that way. I do not. Kill that slut for me to see. Only then will I believe. You are confused. Yes, I am confused, I do not understand things. Now you regret knowing me, right? Then from now on, you and I should never meet again. Fiona gritted her teeth, stomped her foot, and used her lightness skill. Her body swayed, toes tapping lightly. She flew up a tree and disappeared into the night after a few jumps. William stood stunned on the spot, finally sighing resentfully before getting up to chase after her. Right at that moment, Hannah quickly shot a stone, hitting William's temple. She struck very hard. William gave a grunt and fell down, motionless. Hannah rushed over, furiously delivering another chop to the back of his neck, knocking him completely unconscious, then quickly tying him up tight. She gritted her teeth and kicked him several times in succession. Beast, 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 are you still worthy of being a disciple of the master and mistress? She had never imagined that just because the master said a few unfavorable words about Fiona, he would be harmed by her until his family was broken and dead. Even more unexpected was that William and Fiona had known each other and even developed feelings. She felt unwilling for the master and mistress. As I watched her, I too felt it had not been worth it for myself. My entire previous life was buried unjustly and foolishly by these three mad people. I blew a soft whistle, and in just a moment, several people arrived quickly, throwing Fiona heavily onto the ground. They were people from the Imperial Scent Pavilion. They had chased the tracks of Fiona, taking advantage of when she was off guard to easily control her. I searched her body and obtained 2 medicine bottles. One was boneless ink. The other smelled very similar to the antidote that the famous doctors in the previous life had concocted, but it still needed verification. I ordered both to be taken to a secret manor of the Lee family, locked in separate rooms, blindfolded, and splashed with cold water to wake them up. The first to be interrogated was Fiona. As soon as she woke up, she looked around in confusion and screamed. "Who are you? What do you want?" I did not answer. Hannah coldly swung the whip down on her back, shouting sternly, "You harmed my brother. Naturally I came to take revenge. I ask you, where is the antidote for boneless ink?" Fiona frowned and said, "You are Lucy Liu." Hannah gave a soft harumph, not denying it. Fiona immediately burst into anger, her expression also relaxing a few degrees. Obviously, in her eyes, Lucy would not take her life no matter what. It turned out that right from this moment, Lucy already knew of Fiona's existence. I froze for a split second. The unwillingness and indignation in my heart rose turbulently, surging endlessly like a mournful cry. Fiona said, "I did not mean to harm your brother. It was because of that slut. She originally had no feelings for your brother. Otherwise why would she hide behind your brother, causing me to slip up a little?" Hannah whipped her heart again. "You are the slut. Is it your turn to interfere in my brother and sister-in-law's affairs? Who told you to lower yourself and run to ruin someone else's wedding? Did your parents not teach you etiquette and rules? You basically have no father or mother, born and raised like a beast. Hand over the antidote, and I will spare your life, otherwise I will slash your face to pieces." She drew a dagger, the cold blade pressing close to Fiona's tender face. Fiona seemed to finally know fear, suppressing the anger in her heart. She said coldly, "The antidote is on my body." Hannah pretended to reach out and search, naturally finding nothing. She immediately raised her hand and slapped Fiona. "You lied to me. There is basically no antidote on you. How is that possible? There must be. Search again." Fiona was flustered. Hannah's voice was cold as ice. "If I say there isn't, then there isn't. Did you deliberately harm my brother? If my brother's future as an official is ruined, he will absolutely never forgive you in this lifetime. The court has regulations. Officials must have a dignified appearance and a healthy body. If Lucas cannot quickly wash away the ink stain on his face, his path as an official will be considered over. He absolutely cannot sit in a high position holding power in his hands like in the previous life." Fiona was on the verge of tears. "There really is. Touch again. How could I harm darling Luke?" Hannah softened her tone a little. "Indeed there is not. Did you drop it along the way? Do you have any other way to concoct the antidote? This is a serious matter concerning my brother's entire life." "No. I obtained this medicine by chance. There was only one bottle, and only one bottle of antidote." Hannah and I looked at each other. I breathed a huge sigh of relief. Then that was too good. Hannah slapped her hard one more time, gritting her teeth. "Then you have harmed my brother miserably. Now that there is no antidote, what should my brother do? You destroyed my brother, destroyed the future of my Liu family. Fiona, my brother will definitely kill you. Even if my brother does not kill you, my mother and I will absolutely not spare you. In this life, do not ever dream of stepping foot into the Liu family's door." Fiona's face turned pale, panicked to the extreme. Let darling Luke come see me. I want to see darling Luke. There is still another way. I bought this medicine from a group of Western merchants. If you take the medicine bottle and go find the Western merchants, maybe you can find the antidote. I was completely reassured. Western merchants just happening to sell this medicine. I fear one would not meet them even if one waited 10 years. It was truly an opportunity one could only meet by luck, not seek. No wonder in my previous life I searched everywhere but found no clue. Lucas was finished. I felt extremely satisfied. I took the whip, lashing down on Fiona stroke after stroke. In my previous life, I hated her for 20 years, not even knowing where her shadow was. In this life, I could finally vent my hatred on her with my own hands. The tip of the whip tore through the wind, slashing across Fiona's face. Blood-stained whip marks immediately appeared on her face. She screamed, turning her head towards me in terror. Slut, you dare to ruin my appearance. My brother will absolutely not forgive you. I threw the whip down, put on deerskin gloves, and smeared bondless ink onto the places on her face that had been shredded by the whip, forcing the black ink to soak into the bloody wounds. Red and black mingled, looking miserable to the extreme. I stood watching for a while, feeling only that my once dried-up heart was being poured into with bit by bit of vitality. This was the karma I wanted. I left the secret room and went to another room to interrogate William. This time Hannah stood watching, while I conducted the interrogation directly. Hearing the sound to distinguish position, William roughly guessed there were 2 people. He spoke coldly. Who are you people? Why tie me up? I replied calmly. You do not need to know who I am. I need you to help me do one thing. Your junior sister is in my hands. As long as you agree to help me kill Lucas, I will release your junior sister immediately. How about it? Hannah's breathing slowed, her fists clenched tight, her eyes gazing heavily at William's reaction. However, a very subtle gleam of secret joy flashed across William's face. He turned his head away, speaking in different way. A true man knows what must be done and what must not. I will absolutely not be threatened by you to commit murder and robbery. You do not want your junior sister's life anymore. Everyone has their own fate. Do whatever you want. Then what about Fiona? Do you not need Fiona's life either? William was shaken, his face full of rage, gritting his teeth. You people are truly despicable. Answering him was my whip slashing straight down. I showed no mercy, beating him ferociously. I hated him for being selfish and cowardly in the previous life, deceiving me and cheating me. Hannah was indeed killed by him, yet he still dared to come before me to take the money. I beat this beast until my hands were tired. Hannah took over. William screamed miserably, blood soaking his clothes. Very quickly he became a person covered in blood. I spoke coldly. Your bones are quite hard. I just wonder if Fiona can withstand a beating like this. Stop, do not beat her. I will go kill Lucas. William gasped for air to stop us. He coldly said, I know who you are. You are Lucas's fiancé. Shut up. I have no relationship with him anymore. He is now my enemy. I knew I had lost my composure, but I did not understand why I could not bear to hear the words, Lucas's fiancé. Just hearing it made me nauseous to the bone. William sighed and advised me. Miss Lee, Lucas does not like you, so just let go. You have talent, beauty, and a good family background. Who can you not marry? Why must you hang yourself on one tree? I just felt it was absurd to the point of laughter. In his previous life, he silently stayed by Fiona's side for so many years, dying with her in the end. I even thought he was infatuated to the point of being unreasonable. Unexpectedly, he was someone who saw things so clearly. It seems principles are all for telling others. When it comes to oneself, no principle applies. I gave a faint mocking smile. Indeed, I cannot compare to your generosity. Being able to watch the person you love be with another man with your own eyes, and even considerately tucking them in, even killing the rival of your rival just to help the person you love feel at peace. Truly a broad heart. I admire you. Humph. William's face turned purple with rage, but he could not refute a single word. He spoke decisively. I will go kill Lucas, hoping you keep your word. Release Fiona. Alright, a word is settled. I will send someone to monitor you. If you dare to deliberately reveal my identity in front of Lucas, I will chop Fiona into minced meat and throw it to the dogs. William felt a chill down his spine. I signaled Hannah to go out, then ordered someone to stuff a mute pill into William's mouth before untying him. William was shaking with anger. I said, it is just a pill that temporarily prevents you from speaking. It will resolve itself after 12 hours without harming your body. This was medicine given to me by an assassin from the Imperial Scent Pavilion. In my previous life, I gave up halfway and never cooperated deeply with them, to the point that I did not even know about this matter. What a pity. William gave a cold harumph. The medicine's effect gradually took hold, and he struggled to squeeze out one sentence. Why must you do this? You and Fiona originally had no grudge or enmity. Why do you hate her so much? I was stunned by his question. In this life, in the eyes of outsiders, it was merely that Fiona intended to smear me, but ended up causing Lucas to lose face instead. Indeed, between her and me, there was no deep-seated hatred. Doing this much was excessive. Suddenly I felt the suffering of being reborn. No one understands the grievances, resentment, and anger in your heart. They only think you are being too much. You should not be like that. You should have done this. But I quickly thought through one thing. I do not need to explain to anyone, nor do I need to prove anything to anyone. I do whatever I want. What need is there to explain clearly? I gave a faint laugh. Do you and Lucas not also have no grudge or enmity? Then I want to ask you, has Fiona ever saved your life? Why do you treat her like that? Before the medicine took full effect, William forced out one last sentence. She has never saved me, but I love her. I am willing to die for her. He left in anger, but before leaving, he insisted on hearing Fiona's voice to feel reassured. Truly an infatuated person. The waiting time was very long. Hannah asked if he could kill Lucas. I nodded then shook my head. As long as he goes to kill, the result is not important. As long as he acts, the person I arranged by his side will make him reveal himself at the right moment. By then he will be wanted by the court. From then on, he cannot stay in taverns, cannot buy things openly and righteously, and must live a life of hiding forever. At that time I will let him leave with Fiona, but I will tell Fiona that he went to kill Lucas, hoping she will still feel heartbroken for him, understand him, not blame him, and not hate him. At this moment, I felt truly like a villain. Just thinking about what I was about to do made my blood boil with excitement. Hannah touched my forehead. Miss Lee, your smile is truly scary. Having laughed enough, I withdrew my smile and told Hannah a story. Once upon a time, there was a woman who was virtuous and gentle, filial to her parents, in-law, taught her sister-in-law, and treated her husband as her sky. Initially, her husband's family was very satisfied with her, but one day a black mole grew on her face, getting bigger and bigger, finally occupying half of her face. From then on, her husband detested her, her parents-in-law scolded her, and even her sister-in-law no longer respected her. But she still devoted herself to taking care of the whole family, because she thought she had lost her looks, and could not lose her reputation too. That was her last reliance. Then one day, she discovered that the mole was caused by her husband deliberately poisoning her. Because her husband had fallen in love with another young and beautiful woman, and even cherished and spoiled her outside. That woman did not need to serve the parents-in-law, did not need to teach the sister-in-law, had an unruly temperament, and did not understand etiquette, yet the husband loved her to madness, pampering her with all his heart, and even promised only her for a lifetime. The parents-in-law also praised her for being good at bearing children to continue the lineage, and the sister-in-law was also closer to her. In the end, her son inherited the family business, and her daughter welcomed a son-in-law into the home. She got everything, while the main wife was despised, rejected, and cursed by the world. Clearly, those people lived peacefully thanks to the main wife's burden. Yet they still scolded her for being greedy. Hannah, I think and think but still cannot understand. Why does a virtuous and moral woman only receive a bad reputation, while a concubine takes everything? Why? Hannah was silent. I was also silent. She looked at me quietly, unable to speak for a long time. Only after a long while did she open her mouth. Miss Lee, look at me now seeking revenge for my master and mistress. But actually, I was not the child they loved the most. The person my master and mistress chose as the successor to shoulder the sect's burden was William. I had been a child not liked by many since I was little. William did not like me, thinking my appearance was ugly and my aptitude mediocre. When I was small, I did not understand things and called him brother, but was angrily warned by William never to call him brother again, only senior brother. From then on, I understood William's dislike, so I always called him senior brother, not daring to be close anymore. The song couple also favored William more, feeling that he was a boy and had a handsome appearance, so he would not make the sect lose face. So William only needed to practice martial arts, while I had to practice martial arts and also shoulder many trivial matters. Miss Lee, do you see? This world is always full of malice towards women of ordinary appearance. Just because of my ordinary looks, I lost the regard of my master and mistress, lost the care of my senior brother. But so what? That only proves that most people in the world are ordinary. I just need to not be ordinary like them, and that is enough. Do you know, before Master washed his hands of the sword, he told me that actually, I had great talent in the way of the sword. He said from now on there was no need for a successor to the sect anymore, he would fairly pass on his unique skills to me. Miss Lee, at that moment my heart was extremely gloating, but also full of bitterness. Beautiful people do not need to fight, someone naturally brings martial arts manuals to offer them, while I have to try my absolute best just to be treated fairly. However, I do not hate my master and mistress, they gave me a life, no one is perfect. Just as I am imperfect in appearance, they also had flaws in their thinking. That is all, as long as I remember that, I will not be sad anymore. I avenge my master and mistress, actually not entirely for them. I do it for my own future. I hope that when I am 30, 40, 50, when looking back on the things of my youth, I will have nothing to regret. Miss Lee, I live for myself, that is my way of the sword. I cannot answer your question, but I believe there is still fairness in this world. Otherwise why would there be people who act chivalrously for justice like us? If I meet that woman, I cannot give her an answer, but I will definitely kill that pair of dog man and woman for her. I admired her immensely. I had picked up a treasure, she was a bright pearl buried in the dust. Hannah, I have also thought about many things. For young ladies of noble families like us, from childhood, we are taught to be virtuous, moral, and value reputation. Every word, every action must be weighed for the honor and disgrace of the family. Indeed, we live relying on the family. If not for the family's protection, how could I have smoothly withdrawn from the engagement with Lucas? The family is my turtle shell, encountering danger, I can retreat into it. But in normal times, I also have to carry it on my back, careful with every step, lest it be bumped and broken. It is true that it is a bit tiring, but I cannot only enjoy the benefits of the turtle shell without bearing its hardships. The matter I asked you about, actually I have also thought through carefully. The virtuous woman loses everything, while the wicked person gets everything. That is only what I imagined. Actually, at the end of that story, the main wife killed her husband, killed both the mistress and the illegitimate children. She herself was sentenced to be beheaded, but the emperor demanded justice for her, confiscating the entire property of the husband's family. The empress pitied her, allowing her to divorce before dying. You see, just by escaping that house, a good person is still a good person, a bad person is still a bad person, fairness is in people's hearts. Exactly, if in an environment a good person also becomes a bad person, then the mistake does not lie with the person, but with the environment. Just getting out is enough. Hannah, I have not found my own path yet, but I think one day I will find it. And I hope everyone who has suffered humiliation can become the hero of their own life, without needing to wait for anyone to come and save them. That day was the happiest day since my rebirth. I suddenly felt the heavy turtle shell on my back seemed to have become a few degrees more transparent, and also a few degrees sturdier. I suddenly discovered that it did not necessarily have to be a burden, but could also become solid yet light, carrying me flying up to the 9th heaven. Not long after, a servant came to report that William had returned, but there was blood on him. It seemed the assassination attempt had failed. Hannah and I exchanged glances. I hurriedly went to meet William, while Hannah hid in the shadows. William's face was full of rage, his long sword pointed straight at me, but seeing many guards around me, he resentfully sheathed his sword. With assassins following behind, he lowered his voice to report to me. The Liu family had no guards on watch. William rushed straight into Lucas's room, stabbing him right in the chest with one thrust. Just as he was about to kill him, I appeared, shouting William's name loudly, and then stabbed him in the leg. This commotion startled the Liu family guards, who swarmed over. William, dragging his injured leg, struggled greatly to escape. Now he knew this was a trap I had set, hating me to the bone. Listening to this, I felt relieved in my heart. Lucas did not arrange defenses, probably to make it convenient for Fiona to enter and leave the backyard. He was certain she would come to deliver the antidote, but in his wildest dreams, he did not expect the person coming would be his love rival. As for William, before long he would receive a wanted order issued by the court, living a life of hiding, pointed at and mocked by the world. It was truly something to celebrate. I carefully observed William's furious expression, smiling as I said, "I do what I say, I will release Fiona. Follow me." William was escorted by people, enduring the pain in his leg. He limped after me into another secret room. Hearing the commotion, Fiona immediately cried out, "Who is it? Let me go, let me go!" William was also agitated, wanting to run over to see Fiona. I signaled the men to hold William tight so he could only hear her voice but not see her person. I walked in front of Fiona, pulled down her blindfold, and faced her directly for the first time. Fiona was furious. "It is you. Correct, it is me." My heart suddenly became very calm. Indeed, only when revenge is complete does one feel at peace. "Slut, you are truly despicable. If darling Luke knew you did such things, he would absolutely not marry you. A vicious woman like you is not worthy of being his wife. He is not worthy of being my husband. You and he in the match made in heaven." I took out the bottle of antidote, the only medicine of its kind in the world right now. This was something I thirsted for day and night in my previous life but could not obtain. In this life, holding it in my hand, the feeling was illusory and unbelievable. I steadied my spirit, pouring out some of the medicine in the bottle in front of Fiona, keeping only a portion, just enough for one person to use. Fiona stared, disbelieving. "Are you crazy? How could you do that?" I said indifferently. "The antidote is only enough for one portion, but currently, there are 2 people poisoned, Lucas and William. Who do you want me to give it to?" Fiona's face changed constantly. "You captured Brother Will. You truly are a vicious woman. I knew early on you had no good intentions. Did you deliberately trick me? You are so infatuated with Lucas you definitely kept the medicine for him. Now letting me choose William. Isn't that falling into your trap? Is Lucas outside hearing everything we say, and you are setting me up? If you do not choose, then you do not want to save anyone. Then I will throw this antidote away immediately." I pretended to want to throw the medicine bottle. Fiona screamed, "I choose Lucas." I froze. "Why? I love him." "Then what about William? He came to assassinate me for you, and finally was captured alive by me. For you, he gave up avenging his master, and even planned to kill his own junior sister, just fearing she would seek revenge on you. He has done so much, does he not deserve a bottle of antidote?" Fiona was stunned. She was stunned for a very, very long time. She mumbled, "Did he treat me that well?" On the other side, William listened silently, not daring to make a sound, his face full of grief and indignation. He seemed to also really want to know Fiona's reaction. A long time later, Fiona suddenly turned her head away abruptly, as if wanting to discard the touching moment just now. "I only see William as a brother. Even if his appearance is damaged, I will not despise him. At most, I will treat him like a brother and care for him for a lifetime." Fiona spoke with extreme decisiveness. William's face was as pale as dead ashes. I felt an indescribable sense of gloating rising in my heart. I clapped my hands in praise. "You are indeed very benevolent, miss. Now for the second question. I did indeed trick you just now. In reality, the ones poisoned with bondless ink are you and Lucas. Who do you intend to choose this time?" I ordered someone to place the prepared bronze mirror in front of Fiona. At first, Fiona disdainfully did not bother to look, but very quickly she stared into the mirror and screamed loudly, "My face, Lily, your heart is truly vicious. How dare you treat me like this?" Her face was hideous. Her charming beauty was now stained with resentment. Her beautiful eyes looked as if they wanted to spew fire. Completely different from the Fiona filled with the light of happiness I saw in my previous life. Happiness can make a person brilliant in every way, while hatred drains the lifeblood from a person. She was falling step by step, seemingly about to fall into the path I once walked, but it was not enough, still far from enough. I took a step back, looking at her calmly. Choose Lucas or choose yourself." Fiona was in extreme pain. This time she was truly in pain. Tears streamed down her face, her emotions torn, her pitiful eyes looked at me, hoping I could be moved to compassion. But in the previous life, she did not pity me, and in this life, I also do not pity her. My heart was as hard as iron. Fiona's face was miserable, slowly kneeling down. "Lily, I know I was wrong, but have I ever harmed you? Why do you hate me to this extent?" My chest tightened. She could not harm me because I was reborn, because I was resourceful, because I reacted quickly. What did that have to do with her? I said coldly, "Choose, is it you or Lucas?" 3-2. I raised the porcelain bottle high. Under Fiona's horrified gaze, my hand slowly let go. Fiona screamed. I used my other hand to catch the medicine bottle. Fiona collapsed to the ground limply, as if she had lost all strength. "Fiona, your love is only this much." I threw the medicine bottle towards her. She was afraid the bottle would fall and break, hurriedly grabbing it. "Is this really the antidote?" "Hemph." I did not answer her. "Use it if you want, if not then don't." I just wanted her to be tormented, to think, to torture herself, to struggle in pain. A sharp knife killing a person is satisfying revenge, a blunt knife grinding a person is a deep hatred that cannot share the same sky. The mental suffering I once endured, she must also taste exactly the same. You can go now. Are you really that kind? I gave a soft sneer, leading my people away, leaving only William and Fiona. Fiona's face gradually turned pale. William looked at her, the loving look in his eyes replaced by cold indifference. This time it was not pretending to be cold, but truly cold. In his heart, Fiona turned from a true-hearted heroine into a selfish, petty person. Although he was also a villain, even a villain knows to turn towards goodness and hates evil. Fiona hurriedly covered her face. Do not look at me. William coldly untied her, turned, and walked away. Fiona felt the disgust in his eyes, tears falling unceasingly. She grabbed the medicine bottle, hurriedly chasing after him. Brother Will, wait for me. The two of them walked out one after another. I looked at Fiona, smiling as I said, I forgot to tell you just now, William has an injury on his leg. Fiona was just about to comfort William. I continued, it is just that the wound was caused by his assassination attempt on Lucas. Lucas was stabbed in the chest, his life or death is unknown. If you do not believe my words, you might as well ask William yourself to see if he dares to deny it. The expression on Fiona's face went blank for a moment. She angrily questioned William. Is what Lily said true? William still had not recovered from the mute medicine, unable to utter a word. He only pointed at his throat, but Fiona was angry so she did not understand. Finally, he glared at me furiously once, supported himself on his leg, and limped away. Fiona followed behind, no longer looking anxious like before, only confusion and resentment remained. She also did not dare to be alone, afraid I would catch her again, so she unwillingly followed William. Hannah stepped out from the darkness, asking, You just let them go like that? Did you really give her the antidote? I nodded. Wait until she uses up the antidote, the nightmare will truly begin. Once she uses up the antidote, she will not dare to see Lucas again, and I will issue a pursuit order. She can only hide with William to save her life. And William is wanted by the court, so he can only rely on her to hide. I want them to be forced to be together, yet forced to despise each other. That is the most satisfying punishment. Back home, the doctor had finished preparing the enhanced version of bondless ink without an antidote. Looking at that small medicine bottle, I immediately went to the Imperial Scent Pavilion to place another martial arts pursuit order. I want them to send the assassin with the best lightness skill to chase Fiona. I do not need her dead, I just need a single ink stain left on her face every time they strike. I want Fiona to live in panic and anxiety every single day, without a single day of peace. I want her to grow old and die with that ink-stained face, living a lifetime in regret and remorse. It is just that I also somewhat admire a person like her. Why is that? Hannah was surprised. I sighed softly. She is a villain, always putting herself first, never letting herself suffer grievance. If good people could learn half of that trait, perhaps they could live better. How to balance personal benefit and the benefit of others is forever a difficult problem. But I hope good people can live a little better, instead of sacrificing all day, giving all day, only to feel like they are committing a crime when they live a little better. It should not be like that. After handling everything, I slept a very good sleep. That sleep lasted for 2 days and 2 nights. Waking up, my mind was light, seemingly all the fatigue from the previous life had vanished. I looked in the mirror, my appearance was still as youthful as before, but in those eyes, it was no longer the look of a 16-year-old girl. Now I only had one last enemy left, the Liu family. Hannah excitedly reported news about Lucas to me. He was assassinated by William, seriously injured, and was still in a coma. He was a court official. Being assassinated was a major event. The capital governor, based on the account of the Liu family members, issued a warrant for William. Now inside and outside the city, wanted notices for William were posted, while the Liu family took this opportunity to ask for leave for Lucas, hoping to remove the ink stain on his face while he was being treated. Lucas's mother, Madame Qian, completely hated Fiona, declaring under oath never to let that vulgar woman step into the Liu family's door. Madame Qian even personally came to apologize to my parents. On one hand, she said the Liu family was truly unfortunate to have been entangled by a martial arts woman to this extent. On the other hand, she praised me as a dignified and gentle lady of a noble family, hoping the two families could erase the misunderstanding and become in-laws. My father and mother threw all their gifts out, and ordered that from now on, all interactions with the Liu family be cut off. If anyone from the Lu family dared to step through the door, they should just be beaten and driven away straight. Madame Qian knew she could not sway my parents, so she hurriedly found famous doctors to treat Lucas's illness. But no matter how many medicines were tried, the ink stain not only did not fade but became darker, even more terrifying. The Lu family burned silver like water every day. Lucy had not gone out to play for a long time and also developed dissatisfaction towards Lucas. Now in the Lu household, the sound of bowls and chopsticks clashing was heard all day long. There was no longer the harmonious and happy scene as before. The corners of my lips unconsciously curled in a smile. I heard people say, if you want to make friends with someone very quickly, then speak ill of a third person together. In the past, the person they gossiped about was me. They used speaking ill of me to form a tight alliance. Now without me, and unable to find a common enemy, they could only turn to attack each other, falling apart. How truly satisfying, Hana said with some hesitation. Miss Li, your reputation, I fear, has been tarnished, but I see it does not matter. What do you think? I smiled and nodded. It truly does not matter. Who is not talked about behind their back? Who has not been bad-mouthed by others behind their back? I am not a saint, nor can I expect others to be saints. As long as I live better and better, naturally there will be many people saying good things about me. I just need to live well for myself, that is enough. Next to the person in power, there are always people who know how to comply. I am just temporarily out of favor. Wait until I hold power in my hands again. I believe those around me will all be good people. At that time, conversely, I must be even more wary of those good people, and should listen more to dissenting voices. I began to manage my dowry myself. With experience from my previous life, I did these things very smoothly, even making up for past regrets, finding the capable hands who once helped me early on, making the shop prosper day by day. In just 3 months, my shop became famous, and newly released items became known quickly. Those gossiping about me became fewer. On the contrary, they all said that a temperament like mine was one that could achieve great things. Finally, I understood a seventh's history is written by the victors. Understanding this, I disregarded the gossip even more, focusing on my work. One day, I met Lucas again. At the very first glance, I knew he had also been reborn. His eyes were heavy, hiding the authority of someone who once held high position, but combined with that covered face, it was somewhat laughable. He went straight to the point, asking me, "Was Fiona captured by you?" I looked at him, inadvertently feeling the sensation of meeting a worthy opponent. All the suffering of my previous life finally found a place to be vented. He was the source of all my unhappiness, and I had been waiting for this day. The corners of my lips curled up in mockery. I slowly walked up to him, raised my hand, and mercilessly peeled off his veil. "Why cover your face, Master Lu? Is there something on your face that others cannot see?" He was stunned for a moment, then immediately glared at me, his gaze full of fury. "Lily, you are truly too much." I carefully observed the ink stain on his face, stretching from his cheek up to his ear. In the middle, there was a gap, an area of skin Fiona had not touched back then, causing the ink stain to be interrupted, looking truly ridiculous. Master Lu once told me that he did not mind my ugliness, telling me I did not need to hide and cover up, making myself a laughingstock for the world. Now I also return that sentence to Master Lu. I am not laughing at you, so you also do not hide in front of me anymore. Looking like that is indeed truly funny. When similar words fell upon him, I felt a strange sense of pleasure. It turns out that discarding morality to become a villain feels like this. Lucas fell silent. "I am sorry." I was stunned for a moment. What did I just hear? An apology. However, I did not feel relieved at all, only feeling anger surging. Could 20 years of my suffering be resolved by one sentence of apology? Impossible, forever impossible. I let out a soft laugh, taking out a box of scar removal medicine. "Master Lu, I do not have the person you want to find. I also do not know where that Miss Gu has gone, but you and I both know how formidable the poison of bondless ink is. Why not just carve out that piece of skin? I have a type of superior scar removal medicine. I can sell it to you for a slightly cheaper price." Lucas bowed to me. The things of the past were my fault, but in the previous life, the Lu family was confiscated and exiled. Your revenge has already been taken. In this life, we should not owe each other anything anymore. You just need to tell me the whereabouts of Fiona. From now on all grievances are wiped clean. As compensation, I am willing to pay your family with 10 properties of the Lu family. I looked at him coldly, replying indifferently, "Master Lu, how about this? You just live with this face for another 20 years. 20 years later, I will tell you the whereabouts of Fiona. At that time you will still be under 40, still able to start over from the beginning. How about it? Lucas pursed his lips tightly. Husband and wife once. Must you go this far? Whether grievances end or not, whether it is finished or not, is decided by the victim. You have no right to speak. Lucas, between you and me there is no affection or righteousness, only hatred. I will wait to see what your retribution will be. Lucas's face sank, his eyes sharp and cold. He flicked his sleeve, turned, and left. In the previous life, Lucas reached the position of a third-rank official, holding power in his hands, a capable arm valued by the court. I absolutely dared not underestimate him. Very quickly after that, Hannah heard that Lucas had gone to the Imperial Scent Pavilion to inquire about news of Fiona, but the Imperial Scent Pavilion refused to accept his order, because they never accept two opposing orders at the same time. However, from that, Lucas guessed that I was hunting down Fiona. He quickly contacted the rival of the Imperial Scent Pavilion, the Scattered Flower Pavilion, issuing only one request: to protect Fiona and bring her before him. Thinking of Fiona's current appearance, I could not help but laugh out loud. Hannah had gone to see Fiona's situation. She had used the antidote to wash away the bondless ink stain on her face, and coaxed William, but clearly felt that William no longer loved her as before. She got angry, but William did not coax her anymore, only smiling coldly and leaving. She left in a huff, but not long after was chased by assassins from the Imperial Scent Pavilion. Another ink stain was added to her face, but this time there was no more antidote. She panicked to the extreme, hurriedly went to find William, only to see he was being wanted by the court. Chased by officials, she helped him escape, and the two disguised themselves to leave the capital together. They were heading towards the western regions intending to find the antidote for bondless ink. I very much looked forward to the scene where she suffered untold hardships to reach the western regions, found that antidote master, and then discovered that he could not cure the current bondless ink. That scene would surely be very funny. In that process, she was found by people from the Imperial Scent Pavilion 2 more times. Now there were 3 ink stains on her face, looking like a calico cat. Because she wanted William to help her, she had to bend herself to serve him. I am truly very curious if Lucas finds her, what will happen? It will certainly be extremely spectacular. I notified the Imperial Scent Pavilion to temporarily stop the pursuit. The money was still paid in full, just waiting for a suitable opportunity to continue the action. Not long after, Fiona was found by Lucas's people and brought back to the capital. That day, I openly and righteously went to visit the Lu Manor. Hannah followed me, and beside her was a master I hired specifically for her. The two protected me as we marched straight into the reception hall. I looked at the familiar pavilions and towers, only to see that the Lu family seemed to have declined. In the previous life, the Lu family had lush branches and leaves, fresh flowers and grass. The pavilions and towers all had people periodically repairing and painting them. The water in the pond was filtered and cleaned frequently. The water pavilion in the lake was also swept clean. Every blade of grass and root of a tree showed meticulous care. But now, everything in the Lu Manor was covered in dust and desolate. When I walked in, William had been beaten down, one leg twisted strangely. Fiona's hair was messy, looking at Lucas with teary eyes. Lucas lifted her chin, asking her where the antidote was. Fiona gritted her teeth, refusing to open her mouth. Lucas yanked off her veil, his whole body shook, eyes staring wide, retreating several steps in a daze, collapsing onto the chair. Why did it turn out like this? How is it possible? My mood suddenly became refreshed. The grievance in my heart also dissipated quite a bit. Fiona turned her head and saw me, hurriedly covering her face again, raising her voice to scold. It is that slut who destroyed the antidote. I smiled. What you said is incorrect. Back then I clearly gave you a choice. Shut up, do not speak anymore. Fiona covered her ears with her hands. Lucas shouted loudly. I sat down, leisurely enjoying their rage, my face still beaming with a smile. Look, I can also live leisurely and happily, as long as my enemies live miserably enough. Amitabha Buddha, later I must definitely donate money to the Pure Mind Nunnery. Lucas saw I did not speak, so he vented his anger on Fiona. Speak, why do you not speak? Fiona bit her lip, not uttering a word. The person lying on the ground, William, suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood, laughing coldly. Naturally, she dares not speak, because of William. Fiona screamed. William acted as if he did not hear, continuing to speak on his own. Because there was only one portion of antidote left, Lily let her choose, either give it to you, or keep it for herself. Haha, Lucas, Fiona chose herself. Ha ha ha. Fiona's face was as white as paper. Lucas looked as if struck by lightning from a clear sky. William laughed madly. The enemy's failure made him excited, but then while laughing he burst into tears. Fiona, you make me truly nauseous. I actually harmed my master and mistress to death for a woman like you. If I could live another life, I would kill you. I would definitely mince you into 100 pieces. He howled. Fiona's lips trembled, looking at Lucas with pleading eyes. Darling Luke, it is not like that. I was just too afraid. I was afraid you would despise me, not need me anymore. I was truly very afraid. Lucas gritted his teeth. You do not believe me. Fiona was stunned, then suddenly screamed in questioning. How do you expect me to believe you? You and I had only been apart for how long, and you were already prepared to marry someone else. You were two-faced towards me like that. Yet you want me to believe you. If I had not ruined the wedding, would you and Lily have already been affectionate together? At that time, did you still remember that in this martial arts world, there was a person named Fiona waiting for you? Back then you said love at first sight. Was it not also because you saw I was beautiful that your heart moved? What is wrong with me cherishing my appearance? Today's outcome is due to your two-faced nature. The fault is not mine. Fiona is my enemy, but at this moment I felt admiration for her. A person like her will probably always sleep well for a lifetime. The hall was silent as death, as if everyone was exhausted. Lucas spoke in despair. What does a woman's appearance matter? Is what she wants not the favor of her husband? I can give her that, but does she know what consequences will come from an ink stain appearing on my face? For my entire life, I cannot be an official. His Majesty will forget me. The Liu family has been kicked out of the ranks of nobility in the capital. The title of the Marquise ends with my generation. Only if I achieve illustrious merits can I hope for His Majesty's pardon so my son can inherit the title. But just because of her selfishness, everything has been destroyed. What should our children do? Has she ever thought about that? He had confused the previous life with this one. When he realized it, he did not even bother to explain. Fiona was confused and bewildered. I said indifferently. Who says a woman's appearance is not important? Although a woman's beauty is for others to admire, more importantly, it is for us to look at ourselves. You want to live openly and righteously in life. Could it be that we women are not human, do not need to live beautifully and decently? Truana continued. That is right, I am not wrong. Truly rare, in this life I stand on the same battle line as my enemy. I felt it was no longer interesting. I clapped my hands. A team of constables entered to carry William away. William was a serious criminal of the court. Knowing he was captured by Lucas, I immediately sent someone to report to the capital governor, thereby receiving a reward of 50 taels of silver. I told the constables to stay for a moment. Let me finish watching the play before taking action. William was escorted out, bowing his head without glancing at Fiona once. When passing by Hannah, he softly said a sentence of apology. Hannah hurriedly dodged, afraid of being stained by filth. I left the Liu manor. Before leaving I told Lucas that there was an antidote in the western regions and Fiona could recognize it. Lily, I do not believe you. I smiled. Humph, so what? Even if you do not believe it, you will still have to do it. Lucas was an extremely arrogant person. Even going clearly it was a fire pit, he would definitely jump down to try once. He would be exactly like me in the previous life, searching everywhere for doctors and medicine, resulting in returning empty-handed, embracing hope only to harvest despair. William was imprisoned in the Grand Jail, and not long after was taken out and beheaded as a warning. He died on a day when we were all busy. We only heard the news of his death when we had free time. To us, he was a person of no value left. After William died, Lucas sent people to escort Fiona to the western regions to find medicine, while I restarted the Imperial Scent Pavilion's pursuit plan, waiting until she reached the western regions. Her face had few patches of intact skin left. Everyone thought she had a malignant disease and avoided her, pointing and gossiping. And she, who originally sincerely sought the antidote for Lucas, gradually only wished for him to die. Because Lucas initially hired people to protect her, later because he had no more money, he had to leave her be. His subordinates watched helplessly as Fiona was bullied. At first, they pretended to intervene, later they just folded their arms and watched. Fiona refused to hide, and gradually also resigned herself to fate. Once a person resigns themselves, it is the moment they fall into the abyss. I think even if she found the antidote in the western regions, I fear she would not want to bring it back for Lucas. Moreover, the antidote was inherently hard to find. How long would it take for her to find it? Later, Lucas colluded with officials to suppress my business. He hired hooligans to cause trouble, and sent officials to make difficulties. I faced it calmly, because I had made it so all the Lu family's shops could not continue doing business. Madame Qian had begun to sell off the shops gradually, and I bought them one by one. I had people surround and arrest all those hooligans and officials. Then I quietly waited for good news. Very quickly, the Empress's trusted eunuch personally brought a plaque, on which were written the words, "Benevolent Merchant of the Realm." In recent years, natural and man-made disasters had been continuous. I asked my mother to take me into the palace to pay respects to the Empress, willing to offer up all the family property built over the past years to use for relief. That day, the Empress looked at me for a very long time. She smiled and said, "This young lady looks truly familiar." One sentence made my tears fall uncontrollably. In my previous life, I set fire to the mountain villa, killing those who needed to be killed, letting the world know clearly of my injustice. His Majesty sentenced me to death. I was not afraid at all. Killing people to pay with one's life was the karma I should receive. The thing I feared most in my heart was dying under the identity of a wife of the Lu family, until going down to the underworld, still being recorded as a Lu family woman. That was the greatest humiliation of my life. It was the Empress who summoned me, proactively asking if I wanted a divorce. I nodded in agreement. She looked at me for a long time, then nodded slightly. "You will have your wish. Go." I walked out of the hall in a daze. My legs had just been tortured, walking very slowly. Yet I still heard the palace maid beside her ask the Empress, "Your Majesty, killing a husband is a serious crime. Why did you still grant a favor? She is a good child. Only pity she did not meet good people. Even a clay statue has 3 parts of anger, let alone a human. Why should she not be avenged?" When I died, my heart was very peaceful. I thought in this life I met a good emperor and empress. I was born in a good era. Only pity I did not meet good people. If there is a next life, if there truly is a next life, please let me live a little better. Heavens, I beg you. Reborn for a lifetime, I took revenge, earned money, won people's hearts, befriended nobility. Only the Empress was the person I wanted to repay kindness to but could not. I saved up for 3 years, until I felt I had enough capability to stand before her. Before entering the palace, I truly wanted to proudly tell her how hard I have worked in the past 3 years, how many things I have done. I made the Lu family sell all their properties, made Madame Qian angry to the point of falling ill, made Lucy have no one come to propose marriage until now. As for Lucas, now he is just an errand runner in the manner of a prince, hoping to choose the right master, so that later he can turn his fate around. I also earned a vast amount of silver, enough for the Empress to handle the natural disasters more leisurely. But when I truly stood before her, I suddenly discovered I could not say a word, only able to kneel and bow with my mother. Until she spoke, my tears flowed uncontrollably. So many feelings from the previous life and this life surged up in an instant. I cried until I could not control myself. My mother was afraid I would be rude, hurriedly begging for forgiveness on my behalf. The Empress only waved her hand slightly, ordering people to bring hot water and silk handkerchiefs, waiting for me to cry enough before asking softly, "Good girl, why are you crying so much?" When leaving the imperial palace, my heart felt like it held a sweet candy, emitting a gentle fragrance. The Empress accepted the silver I offered, and also returned 2 gifts. One was the plaque "Benevolent Merchant of the Realm." From now on, my business would have smooth sailing. The second was assigning the relief work to the 7th prince, and not the 4th prince whom Lucas was flattering. The 4th prince knew he was implicated by Lucas, immediately kicking him out of the ranks of strategists. Lucas asked to meet me. I refused. I was very busy, having no time left for past matters. To me, every day is a new day full of sunshine. 5 years later, the Lu family was stripped of their title and the Marquis' manor was reclaimed. Madame Qian fell ill. At that time, Lucy had married into a small family, living a struggling life. Hearing news that Lucas came to borrow money to treat their mother's illness, she just hid in her room pretending not to be home. Lucas had to go out to earn a living himself to support his old mother. But the capital was vast, yet a place to hide and shelter was hard to find. Not long after, Madame Qian passed away. Lucas did not have enough money to buy burial land, so he had to sell the last of his assets to bury his mother. However, he still had a little hope, waiting for Yona to bring the antidote back from the western regions. So I ordered people to deliver the antidote to Fiona's hands. She was happy like crazy, immediately applying it to her face. But it was useless. She used up the whole bottle, yet it had no effect. Why is great joy followed by ultimate despair? Fiona died in despair in the western regions. Lucas waited year after year. Finally, even the last ray of hope was extinguished. Later, I took my lovely little daughter to the Pure Mind Nunnery to offer incense. Abbess Jingen smiled and patted the child's head, praising, "The little young lady grows up truly beautiful, her fate is also good." My little daughter opened her mouth to smile, revealing a cute little canine tooth, extremely adorable. On the way back to the capital, we met a beggar. My child said, "He looks truly pitiful." I looked at Lucas with disheveled beard and hair, replying softly, "My dear, do not casually pity others, because you do not know if the person you pity is human or ghost. Let your kindness be reserved for those who truly need it, not those who look pitiful. But do not be afraid, Mother will always be by your side, growing up with you, enjoying this peaceful and prosperous era together." This story imparts a timeless lesson. Self-sacrifice is only noble when it is appreciated by the worthy. Lily's journey reveals that blindly enduring suffering for the sake of virtue is a tragedy, not a triumph. True empowerment lies in recognizing your own value and having the courage to walk away from toxicity. We cannot force fairness in an unjust world, but we can choose where to invest our kindness. Ultimately, the most profound revenge is not the destruction of your enemies, but the reconstruction of your own self. Live brilliantly, not to prove them wrong, but because you owe it to yourself to be happy. The story ends here for now. If it touched your heart or left you thinking, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Please like, subscribe, and share Raccoon Tale to help more stories come to life. See you in the next tale.